Welcome into our NBA TV studios, everybody. I'm Kristen Ledlow, alongside the NBA champion Steve Smith. A lot having gone on in just the last 24 hours.
I mean, Kristen, I was in my backyard swimming, and my son told me that Kyrie has requested a trade. I thought I was going to drown.
Yeah, he had to get a haircut before we came out. He was not ready for this at all.
Kyrie asking for a trade. That shook up the NBA world.
Well, we're welcoming in our Hall of Famer, David Aldridge, to help break down what has gone on in these last 24 hours. DA, first and foremost, you confirmed these reports that Kyrie Irving is potentially looking to exit Cleveland. What led to this decision? What could happen next?
Well, Kristen, look, Kyrie Irving thinks that, he should run a team. He should be the face of a franchise. You can argue that. You can say he's delusional, but he's been in 4 All-Star games. He's won an NBA title. He's been on the Olympic team. He's been on the World Cup team. He is one of the best players in the league. And from what I've been told, he just wants an opportunity to lead a team again. I mean, obviously, any team with LeBron James is going to be the lead dog, right? We all know that. So Kyrie has been in this kind of Robin role the last 3 years, and apparently wants to be Batman again. So that's where it is. That doesn't mean that Cleveland has to grant him that wish, but that's what he is asking for.
And DA, I am so confused. Like I said earlier, to hear this news, I understand, obviously, they didn't beat the Golden State Warriors, but I'm looking and saying, could they go back 4 times? And then we hear this news that you report. DA, is there any possibility that he's just trying to get ahead of LeBron James trying to leave? Because I just can't put my head around it that he doesn't want to be Robin next to Batman. And he was kind of more than Robin, in my opinion. But can you give me more, DA? It has to be more.
Yeah, no, Smitty, I mean, I think you have to at least allow for that to be a possibility, right? I mean, if he thinks LeBron is leaving after next season, which a lot of people around the league believe is going to happen, and he knows that the Cavaliers haven't really been able to improve the team with the players and the picks and everything that they have so far this offseason, then maybe, yeah, he's getting ahead of it. He wants to go somewhere else instead of being the guy in Cleveland, because he was the guy in Cleveland and they didn't do very well those 3 years. Now that team wasn't very good. I'm not blaming it all on Kyrie Irving, believe me. But yeah, I mean, you have to allow that that's a possibility that maybe he's being proactive in this and saying, I don't want to be the last guy to turn out the lights in Cleveland after LeBron leaves. So that's possible. It still seems odd to me because, as you mentioned, they could have. If they come back, if they do nothing else this summer, they are still the overwhelming favorites in the East to get to the finals again. And Smitty, you know this. Every team is one ACL away from the lottery. Every team. And so one turned ankle, one bad bounce for Golden State, and Cleveland's right there. I mean, look, it was a very competitive series. Now, Golden State won the important moments in that series, and they won 4-1, but that doesn't mean it was, a rout by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, Cleveland was in those games. So it is surprising that he's doing this now, but maybe, to your point, maybe he wants to get ahead of the parade instead of being behind it.
And DA, a potential promotion for Kobe Altman to that GM position. Can you speak to the timing of these reports and how far along the franchise is in securing that position?
Well, they've been talking to him for a while, ever since Chauncey Billups turned him down a couple of weeks ago. I mean, Kobe Altman's been the guy that's been handling most of the trade calls and discussions with other teams. So it's a very natural and good promotion for Kobe Altman. He's thought very highly of around the league. As a young executive, will be one of the younger GMs in the league. But, for a team that is in some kind of flux, this is going to be quite a next few months for this young man, but he's very knowledgeable, very capable. Helped Dave Griffin a lot in Cleveland the last couple of years, and definitely deserving of that position.
DA, question for me is, Derrick Rose, a former MVP, doesn't have a home. Can you give me some insight where he may be looking or where he might land next?
Well, it's Cleveland or L.A., the Lakers right now, Smitty. There's nobody else really, I don't think, in the picture. I don't think Milwaukee's in it that much anymore. So this obviously may or may not go on whatever happens with Kyrie Irving. I mean, that changes the entire equation in Chicago. If Kyrie Irving's there, then Derrick Rose is going there as a backup. But if Kyrie Irving is traded and Derrick Rose is going there as a starter, those are two very different things. So his decision may well hinge on what Cleveland does do or doesn't do with Kyrie Irving.
Well, you know we can't let you go without asking the latest on Carmelo Anthony, right?
Well, you know, I don't think, I'll put it this way, Kristen. I mean, I think the Knicks' new brain trust, the new GM, Scott Perry, and Steve Mills, the president, you know, they're just getting kind of settled in into their new roles. I'm sure there will be communication with Carmelo, maybe face-to-face in the next couple of weeks, so that they can get some sense of what he wants to do. I don't think he wants to go to Portland. I think that's accurate. I think it still is either Cleveland or Houston. And as we've discussed many times, those two teams are problematic for different reasons in terms of what they would want the Knicks to give up. The Knicks are not interested in Mo Harkless, I can tell you that. They're not interested in Ryan Anderson. So those two pieces won't make these deals work. So it doesn't mean it can't happen with those two teams. It just means it's going to be very hard for it to happen with those two teams.
And DA, in breaking news just minutes before you joined us, what can you tell us now about John Wall and his future with the Wizards?
Yeah, we broke the story about 10 o'clock that John Wall's going to re-sign in Washington. He's signing the extension, I should say. The new designated player veteran exception that's in the new CBA. John Wall was an All-NBA player last year, so he's eligible for the extension. What happens is he has 2 years left on his current deal. That'll pay him about $37 million total those 2 years combined. 2019, this new extension kicks in. It's a 4-year deal worth $170 million through 20 and 23. So he winds up getting a total of about $207 million over the next 6 years from Washington. It's about it's basically the deal that Harden got in Houston to stay there. So for John Wall and for that Wizards franchise, look, you can't say Ted Leonsis hasn't stepped to the plate now. The last 48 hours, he gave Otto Porter $106 million, and now he's going to give John Wall $170 million. So even my math says that's over $270 million, $275 in new contracts. So, you know, they're committed to that core group, and, you know, they probably need to add a piece, but those three guys are going to be part of the Wizards for a while.
And again, not a bad gig if you can get it. DA, thanks so much for taking the time.
Sure, my pleasure.
What do we even talk about first? Because
I think it's Kyrie.
There's so much going on at this, but let me ask though, because you did ask the question about Kyrie being the Robin to Batman's LeBron's Batman. You understand what I'm trying to ask you, but he scored 25 points a game just last season, attempted 19.7 field goals a game. Can you really call that Robin?
And that's why, you know, and until I hear from Kyrie Irving, I'm looking at it as him maybe trying to get ahead of LeBron's departure, because when you start just saying you're the Robin to a Batman, it's just not no ordinary Batman. This is the Batman of the league. So there's nothing wrong with being second fiddle to a guy that is the league and also still has a lot of game left, but it's years where now you're seeing, even throughout the game, Kristen, LeBron saying, you go do it. So I think at the end of the games, you know, they're both Batman. So I look at it, I don't think it's so much of, in my opinion, and obviously we'd love to hear from Kyrie, I think it's more of he feels with everything's going on in management and also maybe LeBron James not having that commitment and maybe departing, he doesn't want to be the last man standing in Cleveland.
The last Batman, huh? We've talked about Derrick Rose. We've talked about Carmelo Anthony. What does Cleveland now need to do at this point as far as an immediate next step?
Well, I think for them is they got to find some kind of way to rally the troops and obviously get a chance to talk to Kyrie and see if this is something he really wants to pursue. And if it is, you got to start to look and see where's LeBron, what does he want, and who does he want to play with, and who is a great fit for him. And I think Derrick Rose will be fantastic for LeBron James if there's no Kyrie. And also if you had a Derrick Rose and Kyrie, that's pretty good. I didn't think Deron Williams worked out last year as that point guard behind Kyrie. So you have a guy in Derrick Rose, if he was backing up Kyrie, break down the defense, and then those shooters get some wide open shots. But now you start to look at maybe it's time to really ramp up of bringing Carmelo to Cleveland, but at what cost? That's the one thing you got to ask yourself.
Right. Well, after the break, we're going to preview the WNBA's All-Star Weekend with Angel Gray, and the league legend Sue Bird is welcoming fans from everywhere to her city of Seattle. So we're going to go along for the ride. Don't go away. to show the league what she's gotten to experience for 15 years. And speaking of Sue Bird, here she is. She helped headline the weekend and helped headline the first pitch of the Mariners game.
I know, I was watching that last night.
I know,
It's just
alongside
amazing.
a handful of All-Stars as well as the WNBA president, Lisa Borders. This is a 10th All-Star selection for Sue, tying the retired Tamika Catchings for the most all-time. She's a 2-time champ, a 4-time Olympic gold medalist, and in honor of the weekend ahead, we are now going to take a look back at the legend thus far.
The Seattle Storm select Sue Bird from the University of Connecticut.
When I was originally drafted 3,000 miles from home to Seattle, being from New York, going to school in Connecticut, it was an adjustment at first. But luckily I had some really cool teammates who basically forced me to get out and see what a great city Seattle was. Not just from a basketball standpoint, but from a life standpoint.
Everyone goes, Sue Bird, Sue Bird. I'm like, yes, she's my friend.
Before I moved out to Seattle, I really didn't know much. The grunge scene, obviously a lot of rain, a lot of coffee, but once I got out and I saw what it had to offer, I mean, if you're outdoorsy, everything from the mountains to the water. If you like restaurants, I mean, the restaurant scene here is amazing. The shopping's amazing. There's just so much that the city has to offer.
Temperature in Seattle is, I think that means 60 degrees.
It says there's no rain. That's shocking.
It's only probably rained like 4 or 5 days of like the month I've been here, so I guess that's a good ratio, they tell me.
The actual rainfall isn't as much as you might think. I think New York actually gets more physical rain than Seattle. It does get gray, it does get drizzly, but the actual rain is not that bad. And if you carry an umbrella, you're weak. I think I started to feel like Seattle was home when I actually bought a home, which was in 2004. It was always kind of the place that I could come back to and it was mine. But more recently, I've really felt as if I could live here. The vibe of the city is so super chill, which totally fits my personality.
Overdose on the whipped cream.
Comes out faster than you think. And things are always on the move forward, so it has this nice balance to it.
Here comes Sue.
Oh, good feed, Sue Bird! Running the break like perfection.
Storm fans, in my opinion, are the best. There's something about the way they cheer for us, their loyalty. Something about Key Arena, too. You actually get a physical feeling when you run out in that gym.
And the Seattle Storm has won their first ever WNBA title.
I feel really lucky, I feel really fortunate to have been able to give them 2 titles.
The Seattle Storm are the WNBA champs in 2010.
To win, I can't even describe it. It's a very complete feeling.
You know, they've been with us, these fans, through the ups and the downs. So to deliver and to stand on that podium with the trophy 2 times, it's pretty special.
And after the break, we're going to name this year's recipients of a prestigious award. Don't miss the exclusive announcement. At the buzzer, it's hard not to love Kevin Love, but petty Kevin Love is my favorite Kevin Love. Hi, Kevin Love, how are things? He receives a tweet at 1:44 p.m. and responds, life is amazing, no complaints. Things are a little peculiar, but no complaints. Now, go kick some rocks.
I like that one.
Not much going on in the life of Kevin Love
Go
today.
kick rocks. He's upset. I don't blame him.
Who wouldn't be? Also, Pau Gasol reportedly agreeing with San Antonio
3 years.
to return for 3 years.
Wow.
We're out of here.
We out of here.
Keep your phones on, though. There's a lot going on. So
Got mine.
should we leave? Are we safe to leave? No, absolutely. We should go.